I wasn't planning on sleeping in the car that night. But at 2:13 a.m., engine off, keys in my lap, watching condensation crawl along the windshield like slow-moving frostbite, that's where I was, barefoot, wrapped in an emergency blanket I'd found in the trunk. The driver's seat leaned back just enough to make me regret not stretching more often. It wasn't even supposed to be an argument. It started with a damn chair. I'd just gotten home from a late shift. This job at the auto plant always runs hot during end-of-quarter crunches, and I was exhausted. I smelled like grease, rubber, and the cafeteria's unholy Wednesday night chili, and all I wanted to do was take a shower and sleep for 12 hours. Maybe 15. But the second I stepped into the kitchen, I heard it. That unmistakable crack. One of the dining room chairs had split again. Now, these weren't new chairs. My brother gave us the set when he upgraded to something Scandinavian and minimalist, and they'd been held together with wood glue, hopes, and tiny prayers ever since. But I'd fixed that particular one twice already. It wasn't supposed to be used. Why was someone sitting in that one? I asked, not angry, just confused. From the living room, Heather didn't even look up from her laptop. It's just a chair, Dylan. Jesus. Our daughter, Avery, peeked around the corner, her face lit up by the phone in her hand. Oh my God, Dad, are you going to make another speech about responsibility? I hadn't planned to. But then she laughed. That laugh, that sharp, dismissive kind teenager's perfect when they know they're too old to be punished and too young to pay bills. The one that says you're ridiculous and irrelevant. I'm not sure why it stung, but it did. Sorry, I muttered, crouching to assess the break. One leg was cracked clean through the bottom. It wasn't reparable this time. Guess I'll throw it out tomorrow. Or we could just throw out all of them and get normal ones, Heather said. Still typing, still not looking at me. We can't afford new chairs right now. She sighed like I just recited the Declaration of Independence in Klingon. God, Dylan, you say that about everything. It's just furniture. Maybe if you got a better job. I stood up too fast. My knees popped. I think something in my chest did too. I make enough, I said, and it sounded thin even to me. Sure. If you like living in this half-broken rental with furniture from a Craigslist giveaway page. It wasn't the words. It was the ease with which she said them. Like she'd been holding them back for months and finally gave herself permission. Like she wasn't even trying to hurt me, just stating facts. I grabbed a beer from the fridge. It was warm. She'd unplugged it again to defrost it, but forgot to plug it back in. How long's the fridge been off? I don't know. A few hours. Don't change the subject. Great. There goes the meat. You act like we're one mistake away from bankruptcy. No, I said, popping the tab anyway. We're one missed rent check away from eviction, and I'm the only reason that hasn't happened. Silence. Then, don't make this about you. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I almost ignored it, but something in me, instinct, maybe, made me check. It was from Logan, my best friend. More like a brother than my own. You okay? I heard what Heather said at the coffee shop today. That was harsh. I stared at the message, not even fully processing it. The coffee shop? I typed back. What are you talking about? He responded instantly. Heather was there with two other moms. I was grabbing coffee for the shop. She didn't see me. She said if you drop dead tomorrow, the only thing she'd miss is not knowing where you hid the spare car key. The other women laughed. I left. I didn't know if I should say anything. I'm sorry, man. I didn't move. I just stood there, the beer going flatter by the second, something inside me peeling away slow like wet wallpaper. What's wrong with you? Heather asked, finally looking up. I looked at her. Really looked at her. The woman I'd met 12 years ago at a backyard barbecue who used to write poems in the margins of her notebooks and read them to me under a blanket fort we made in the living room. The woman who cried when we lost our first pregnancy and refused to give up trying even when I did. The woman who now talked about me like I was an appliance, helpful, replaceable, and not worth noticing unless I broke. I didn't answer her. I went upstairs, pulled out my old gym bag, stuffed it with whatever clean clothes I had, my toothbrush, my charger, and the folder with all our important documents. I wasn't thinking clearly, wasn't thinking long-term. I just knew I couldn't stay another second in that house without screaming. She didn't follow me, didn't ask what I was doing. As I zipped the bag, Avery called from her room, Dad, if you're going to the store, can you grab more trail mix? And that was it. The final line. They didn't see me. Not really. I was just the guy who fixed chairs and paid bills and sometimes reminded them to turn off the damn stove. I left the bag by the door, walked out barefoot into the night because my boots were soaked from that morning's rain and I hadn't had time to dry them. My toes curled against the driveway gravel. The stars looked especially sharp, mocking almost. When I started the car, the dashboard lights blinked like they were surprised I was doing anything spontaneous. I didn't have a plan. No hotel. No destination. I just drove. Past the darkened gas stations. Past the church on Willow with the flickering sign. Past my own father's old repair shop, now shuttered and covered in graffiti. Eventually, I pulled into the edge of a rest stop, turned off the car, and leaned the seat back. I wasn't planning on sleeping in the car that night. But there I was. And for the first time in months, I wasn't holding my breath. The sun burned through the windshield like a silent accusation, heating the inside of the car until I woke up drenched in sweat and regret. My lower back ached like hell, and my left foot was asleep, tingling as I stumbled out of the car and stretched. My phone buzzed again. 8 unread messages, mostly from Heather. Are you serious? Dylan, grow up. You're scaring Avery. Where the hell are you? No, are you okay? No, come home. No, we miss you. I ignored them all. I hadn't been to Ricky's Diner in years, but it was the first place that came to mind. Open 24 hours, cash only, strong coffee, and no judgment. The kind of place where old men read newspapers like they still matter, and the waitresses call everyone honey, even if they clearly hate your face. I slid into a booth near the back and tried to remember when I'd last eaten something not handed to me in a paper bag. The server, Marcia maybe, poured me a mug of coffee without asking. You look like you lost a bet with God, she said, popping her gum. Felt like I did, I muttered. She chuckled and walked away, letting me sit with that. That's when Logan walked in. He didn't see me at first, ordered a takeout sandwich at the counter, and leaned on it like a man who's carrying too much in his pockets, and even more in his chest. I waved him over. He blinked, surprised. Holy hell. I figured you'd either be at a motel or in the middle of a 4-state drive with country music blasting. Too broke for either. He sat across from me, the air between us heavy but not awkward. You all right? He asked. No, but I'm not bleeding or dead, so there's that. He nodded, then tapped the table like he was working up the nerve to say something that might make me throw my coffee at him. There's something else. That day at the coffee shop, Heather didn't just say that car key thing. I leaned back. Logan. Listen, man, I wasn't going to tell you, but now you're sitting here like a guy 2 bad decisions from disappearing, and I can't let you spiral without the whole picture. He slid his phone across the table. A video was already playing. Poor quality, like all good incriminating footage. From behind a potted plant, the corner of the coffee shop counter visible. Heather sat with 2 women I didn't recognize. Big sunglasses, loud laughter. Heather looked animated, like she used to when telling one of her stories at parties. Her voice came through, not quite clear, but unmistakably hers. I swear, sometimes I fantasize about Dylan just not coming home one night. Like, poof, gone. Then I could finally get a life. The other women laughed, one mock gasping. You'd be a widow with benefits. Exactly, Heather giggled. I mean, I'd have to pretend to be devastated for a bit, but I'd get the insurance, the car, the house. Not bad, right? Then more laughter. One even toasted to it. I slid the phone back. My hands were shaking, but not from rage. Not yet. Why'd you record it? I asked, voice low. I didn't. Barista saw me and said, You know her, right? Watch this. Your buddy's wife is wild. I thought it was going to be a dumb TikTok. Then that. I said nothing for a long time. Then, softly, I always knew she didn't love me the same anymore. But fantasizing about my death. That's a whole new genre of betrayal. Logan didn't respond. He didn't have to. I left Ricky's with a greasy bag of bacon and toast and a plan forming in my head. Not for revenge. I wasn't that guy. But something had shifted. Knowing Heather not only joked about my death, but did it with performative glee for strangers, it cut deeper than any late-night insult or ignored sacrifice. Back at the car, I made a list. Cancel joint credit card. Freeze savings account. Open new one in my name only. Contact landlord. Let them know I'd be paying my half directly. Transfer car title out of joint name. Visit an attorney. I wasn't leaving her high and dry. Not yet. But I was pulling out of the hole she'd comfortably let me sink in while she sat at the edge, dangling her feet and making jokes about my funeral playlist. By 2 p.m., I'd already done the first 2. The bank manager didn't blink when I explained. He just nodded like he'd seen this before. Maybe he had. I texted Heather once. Not dead. Not coming home either. Let's talk when you're ready to be honest. Until then, you're on your own. She didn't reply. But Avery did. Where are you? Mom's being weird. Did something happen? I stared at the screen, heart twisting. Avery. Our daughter. Brilliant, sarcastic, impossible. The one who used to build Lego towers with me for hours and now barely looked up from her phone. I replied. Just taking space. I love you. We'll talk soon. A beat. Then. Promise? Promise. That night, I slept in Logan's guest room. It smelled like old football gear and laundry detergent, but it was better than my car. Better than that house. Better than being a ghost in a place where no one noticed the temperature dropping until the pipes burst. I wasn't angry yet. That would come later. Right now, I was just awake, truly awake, for the first time in years. The guest room wasn't comfortable, but it was quiet. Logan had left for his shift at the garage, muttering something about needing to fix a Honda that smells like cheese. I stayed behind, laptop open, staring at a blank Word document titled, Budget Plan, Dylan Edition. A part of me wanted to go nuclear, shut everything down, let Heather and Avery scramble. But another part still remembered birthdays, dance recitals, late-night runs for medicine when Avery had the flu. I wasn't trying to burn my old life down. I just didn't want to die in it. By midweek, Heather finally responded. Not with an apology. Not even an admission. Just, we need to talk. In person. For Avery's sake. I agreed, but on one condition: it had to be somewhere neutral. I suggested the public library, private room, 1 hour. No drama. She arrived late, of course, in her usual hurry, phone in hand, looking like she'd rather be anywhere else. She didn't make eye contact right away. Just sat down and sighed like I dragged her there against her will. You're blowing everything out of proportion, she said without preamble. It was a joke. That's how people vent. You've said worse. No, I replied calmly. I've never wished you dead for laughs over coffee with strangers. She didn't answer that. We sat in silence for a moment, the fluorescent lights above humming softly. Then she leaned forward. Okay. You want honesty? I'm tired. I've been tired for years. You work. Yeah, but it's like you disappeared emotionally. All you do is fix things. You're always tired, always checked out. When was the last time you asked me about my day? That struck something, deep and bitter. Because I had asked. Many times. But she'd always been scrolling or distracted or brushing me off. You don't get to rewrite history just because it's convenient, I said. I was there. I showed up. I carried everything you dropped. Her jaw clenched. You think you're a saint? You think working overtime makes you some kind of martyr? I raised our daughter practically alone. I was working to keep the lights on. And I was working to hold everything else together, she snapped. I breathed deeply, trying not to let my voice rise. Then why laugh about me dying? Silence again. She looked away, then shrugged, small and tight. It was a dumb joke. No, I said, standing. It was a truth wrapped in a dumb joke. And I finally heard it. Before I left, I pulled a manila folder from my bag and placed it on the table. What's this? A separation agreement. Temporary. Covers bills, custody, joint accounts. My lawyer drew it up. You don't have to sign today. But I'm not coming home until I know where we stand. Lawyer. Her voice cracked, the facade starting to chip. You're serious? I just nodded. She didn't chase me when I left. Didn't call, didn't text. 2 days later, Avery did. Dad, are you and Mom getting divorced? I stared at the screen for a long time before replying. I don't know, but I'm not leaving you. That's a promise. Can I come see you? I paused, then typed. Yes, but only if you want to. Not because she told you to. 10 minutes later. I do. I've been thinking about stuff. I need to say it to your face. She came to Logan's that weekend. Nervous. Hoodie pulled over her head, backpack slung low like she was running away from home. She didn't hug me right away. Just stood in the entryway, quiet. I thought you'd be somewhere fancier, she said eventually. This is as fancy as your old man gets. That cracked the corner of her mouth. Barely. We sat in Logan's tiny kitchen. I made hot chocolate the way she liked it, too sweet, marshmallows on top. She stirred hers silently, then blurted, I'm sorry. I looked up. She wouldn't meet my eyes. I was awful. I know. I laughed because Mom laughed, and I didn't think. I didn't feel. I just wanted to be funny. And I guess I didn't think of you as a person anymore. Just someone who fixes stuff and pays for things. I said nothing. Just let her say it all. I remember you used to make pancakes shaped like animals, she continued, voice cracking. I love those. But I stopped telling you because, I don't know, I started acting like mom. Like if I needed you, I was weak or stupid. You're neither, I said, voice thick. She looked up, eyes red, but finally meeting mine. Can I come over sometimes? Just hang out? Without mom. Anytime, I said. She didn't cry, not really. But when she hugged me, hard, small arms gripping like she thought I might disappear, I felt something shift. Like the needle had moved, just a little. That night, after she left, I finally let myself cry. Quiet. So Logan wouldn't hear from the next room. It wasn't sadness, not exactly. Just years of being unseen finally dissolving into something softer. I wasn't whole. Not yet. But for the first time in a long time, I wasn't alone either. 3 weeks passed. The separation agreement sat unsigned on Heather's desk, waiting. Meanwhile, I stayed at Logan's. Avery visited on weekends, and Heather didn't reach out again. Not once. No texts. No calls. Nothing. I should have been relieved. But instead, something gnawed at me. Not regret, just suspicion. Silence, after years of constant noise, wasn't peace. It was strategy. I didn't trust it. Logan and I were working late at the garage one Friday, fixing up an old Ford that smelled like mildew and wet dog, when a woman walked in asking for me. She was tall, stiff posture, mid-50s maybe. Business blazer. The kind of woman who could bankrupt a company and never smudge her lipstick. Mr. Callahan? I wiped my hands on a rag. Yeah. She held out a card. Family law. Custody mediation division. My stomach bottomed out. She didn't waste time. Heather has initiated proceedings to request primary custody of your daughter, Avery. We're required to notify you in person due to your separation. You'll receive formal papers within the next 48 hours. I didn't hear the rest. Just nodded through it. Numb, like I'd fallen into a cold ocean and the surface was closing fast. After she left, Logan found me sitting in the back lot, chain-smoking cheap cigarettes from the vending machine we kept for desperate mechanics. I'm guessing that wasn't good news, he said, crouching next to me. She's going for custody. Sole custody. He didn't say anything. He just sat beside me until my fingers stopped trembling. When I got back to his place, I found Avery's notebook on the table. Things Dad does that we never notice. She'd left it by accident last visit. I flipped through the pages. Knows the smell of engine oil from a single whiff. Remembers the exact way I like my tea. Doesn't talk much when I'm sad. Just makes pancakes until I smile. And one that stopped me cold, written in a different color, smaller handwriting. I thought Mom loved you, but I think she only loved what you did for her. I closed the notebook. The next day, I met with my lawyer. We started prepping. Heather had been quiet for a reason. She was building a case. She wanted the house, the car, full custody, and a monthly support plan that would bury me. I was stunned at first. Not because she was being vicious, but because I hadn't seen it coming. Not even after everything. I still thought she'd keep things civil. Fair. But it turns out, when someone's built their life on leaning against you, they don't know how to stand on their own until they try to knock you down to the floor with them. We gathered everything. Logs of texts, screenshots, bank records, video footage from the coffee shop, even the audio clips I'd once saved as self-defense. But what I didn't expect, what hit me hardest, was what Avery did next. A week before the first custody hearing, she asked to stay with me a little longer. I figured she just needed a break from the tension at home. But on Sunday night, while we were making grilled cheese and watching an old movie, she handed me a flash drive. What's this? I asked. Proof, she said, voice steady. I plugged it into Logan's laptop. It was video, grainy but clear enough. Avery had recorded parts of their home life over the last few weeks. Heather yelling on the phone about bleeding Dylan dry, about getting what's owed, about how judges never side with the dad anyway. Then clips of Avery trying to talk to her and getting waved off or snapped at. One night, she even caught Heather swiping money from Avery's birthday card and muttering that every dollar counts now. I didn't ask her to do this. Are you sure you want this shown in court? I asked, heart pounding. I'm not doing it for you, she said. I'm doing it for me. That cut deeper than anything, because I knew she meant it. She wasn't protecting me. She was protecting her own right to choose where she felt safe. At the hearing, Heather's lawyer came in smug and polished, like this was a slam dunk. Heather wore a black dress and a face scrubbed of any real emotion. She barely looked at me. But when Avery's flash drive was played and the footage rolled, when the judge saw the way she dismissed her own daughter's questions, when her words about me being disposable filled the courtroom, everything changed. Heather's expression shifted, from calm to confused to horrified. The judge asked Avery a simple question. Where do you feel most hurt? With my dad, she said. Not a tear. Not a hesitation. The judge ruled for joint custody, with Avery's residence alternating every 2 weeks. But she also ruled something else, financial audits for both parents and parenting classes for Heather. I didn't cheer, didn't gloat. Afterward, in the hallway, Heather walked past me without a word. But I saw it. Not anger, not resentment, fear, not of me, but of what she'd lost. That her power over me was finally gone. That night, back at Logan's, I poured myself a drink and stared at the ceiling fan. It hit me then, something I hadn't let myself believe until now. I wasn't going back. Not to her. Not to that house. Not even to the version of me that lived for scraps of affection and walked on eggshells just to keep things civil. I was done pretending I was hard to love. Done acting like I had to earn a seat at a table I built with my own hands. Whatever came next, it would be mine. 3 months after the hearing, I moved into a small, 2-bedroom rental on the edge of town. Nothing special. Beige walls, old carpet, kitchen cabinets that stuck if you pulled them too hard. But it was mine. The lease had my name on it, and no one rolled their eyes when I fixed a squeaky door hinge or rewired the light above the stove. There were no snide remarks, no ungrateful muttering from the other room. Just silence, and the sound of a man slowly learning how to breathe without checking for landmines under his feet. Avery helped me move in. She didn't say much, just showed up with a duffel bag and a roll of duct tape that had little cats printed on it. I asked if she was planning to fix anything. She shrugged and said, "You never know." We unpacked together, mostly in silence. But she did make a point of hanging up one thing herself, her list. Things Dad does that we never notice. She'd added more since last time. Checks the batteries in the smoke detectors without being asked. Knows how to fold fitted sheets and pretends it's not a superpower. Lets me have the last slice of pizza even when I know he wants it. She taped it to the fridge. I didn't cry. Not then. But when she went home that night, I sat down on the floor, my back against the fridge, and stared at that list for a long time. Somewhere between heartbreak and healing, I realized how much I had gained by walking away from everything I thought I couldn't live without. Heather and I spoke only when we had to. Drop-offs, school meetings, medical forms. We were polite, civil, but we both knew that whatever bridge had once connected us had burned down, and the smoke had cleared. I didn't hate her. That surprised me. What I felt was more dangerous than hate. I felt nothing. Sometimes that's the truest sign something's really over. Avery adapted to the new schedule faster than I expected. She kept a toothbrush in both places, learned how to pack light, and started leaving small pieces of herself in my home. A hoodie on the couch, a sketchbook on the table, hair bands around the faucet in the bathroom. She told me once, "It doesn't smell like Mom's anymore." What does it smell like? She thought for a second. Like pancakes and tools. I'd take that. She also started talking more. Real conversations, not just the grunts and eye rolls of adolescence. She asked me about work, about my favorite songs, about how I learned to fix cars, and why I never taught her before. So I started showing her. Little things. Changing an air filter. Patching a tire. Resetting a breaker. She was clumsy at first, but focused. Determined. She said it made her feel powerful. Like she didn't have to wait for someone else to fix her life. One Saturday morning, she sat cross-legged in the garage, holding a socket wrench like a sword, and said, "I think Mom's sad." I didn't say anything. She misses how things used to be, but she still doesn't get why they changed. I nodded. Sometimes people don't see what they've broken until they try to use it again. Avery looked at me. "Do you miss her?" "Sometimes," I said honestly. "But I don't miss who I was with her." She nodded like that made sense. "I like who you are now." I think I smiled for the first time in a while. One day, I got a call from Heather's mother. I almost didn't answer, but I did. She told me Heather had been seeing someone, a coworker from her new job, that she was trying, in her own way, to rebuild, that she still resented how things ended, but deep down knew she'd pushed me away long before I walked out. I thanked her for the update. We hung up. Then I went outside and finally finished building the workbench I'd been putting off. Took me 3 hours. When it was done, I stood there, running my hands along the edge, and realized I hadn't thought about Heather the entire time. Freedom isn't always fireworks and confetti. Sometimes it's just a quiet afternoon where your hands smell like sawdust and you feel whole. Last week, Avery gave me a Father's Day card. Inside, she wrote, "You're not just the guy who fixes things. You're the reason I know I'm worth fixing for. Happy Father's Day." It's taped above the list on the fridge now, right next to a Polaroid of us eating burnt pancakes and grinning like idiots. I don't know what's next. Life's still messy. The car leaks oil. The sink drips no matter what I do. Logan's convinced the world's going to end every time gas prices spike. Avery's still figuring out who she wants to be, one mistake at a time. But for the first time in a long time, I feel steady. Not because someone needs me to be, but because I choose to be.